How important, in your view, is training to the island's future prosperity?
Well, it's important, and I think it is particularly important that it's got to be the right training, because there's a tendency, at least under the last government, to take the view that universities are jolly good, nothing else really matters. Now, that's an exaggeration, obviously, but I feel there is much more choice, there needs to be much more choice for youngsters, and I feel particularly strongly that we've got to get the right training for people who are not going to university. There's got to be more choice, more understanding of what's right, and I think that would make it better.
And will these programmes be protected in the wave of drastic cutbacks in the public sector?
Well, we haven't got absolute details on those. I very much hope that the sort of things that will be saved are the training, the relatively inexpensive, rather than the relatively expensive. So I'm hoping so, certainly. I think there is a real flexibility about people on the island, which on the mainland I'm not so sure exists. I think that we've got to encourage people to be more specifics, but on the other hand, we must recognise that people are doing a good job to take the opportunity where it comes.
Diplomas were an attempt to put vocational training on an equal footing with A-levels. Is the coalition government committed to this aim?
Well, I don't think we've got the aims in the same picture as the last government, because the last government was saying it's our job to change the proposals from A to B, And I think these decisions are the sort of decisions that can be made in schools. They don't have to be taken by the government. And I would have thought it would give much more choice over things like diplomas in the schools rather than nationally.
And how important do you think the skills base on the island, or lack of, is in attracting businesses to the island?
Again, I think it's a question of how right they are for the time being. What's happened on the island, I think, has improved considerably over the last 10, 15 years. There are fewer large employers, but far more small and very small employers. And those who are doing a good job are building up for themselves and for their families and so on the opportunity to grow. This is very different from the public sector, if you like, which is large, generally speaking, large organisations. I think we've got the opportunity for people to do something which appeals to them, or which certainly sells what they have to offer. And I think it's a better choice than used to exist. There used to be much less choice. Now there's a great deal more choice.
Is there a cycle in which the lack of highly skilled employment opportunities creates a drain on the island's skilled workforce?
I'm sure that's a problem, and we'd like it to be much better. The fact is, at the moment, and people are seeing that more opportunities lie on the mainland. But again, we've got a chance, which I think is getting better. People, there are far more opportunities now than there were, say, 15 years ago, and that's my view.
Does training have a role in breaking this cycle, by training the island workforce to be ready for new opportunities?
Well, that's exactly what is happening, and I think it's happening more and more. And again, I would emphasise the need for training on the island rather than sending people off to the mainland, particularly going to university and so on. I'm not suggesting for a moment that the very bright shouldn't be going to university, but I am saying you've got a choice of those who are in the middle, And they've got both choices, the university choice and the training choice. And the training choice you probably do most on the island more than the university.
Now, what effect will the winding down of CEDA over the next 2 years and the impact that will have on its various projects have on training on the island?
Well, again, what we have to look at is what's happening at the moment. And what is happening at the moment is the opportunities are decided off island in Guildford. And the more we can get those decisions made on the island, the better that will be. And I think that will be the result of the closure of CEDA. Now, we don't know yet where that's going to be. There are proposals to have an arrangement with Hampshire and the Isle of Wight together. Other people are proposing just for these things to be decided on the island. You can be quite sure which I'm favourable of, but I've got to see that it works.
And how do you see the training sector on the island developing in the future?
It's very hard to grasp and make proposal. In fact, it's almost wrong to make proposals because I'm very conscious that the people who work in training are doing something which is appropriate to them and their customers, if you like, rather than to me and other people's standing outside and gazing down, if you know what I mean. And I believe in bringing the decisions as far as possible to the locality, and to the locality people working in the locality as well, not applying one's knowledge from outside, if you like.
Island average household income lags behind the rest of the South East. How can we provide the right training to improve the prospects for the next generation of islanders to ensure that this gap is closed?
Well, I don't think we will ever close it. And just while I'm on this thing, the island isn't really part of the South East. I mean, it's not part of either the South East or the South West. We're an island, and that's why prices are high and people are not paid as much as they would be on the mainland. But what we need is to do well in the areas where we're special, not necessarily the areas which are on the mainland, but the areas which work. And one of the things that is working is that of people moving to the island, or living on the island certainly, who are taking advantage of the things which are different. And that's how you gain a bit. And as we gain a bit each time, we become a bit more, we have a bit more money in our pockets and in everyone else's pockets.